All right, for the bazillionth time, that is the dark matter part, which is this black ball. It never changes. This is the electron part, which is the electron shower. When they concuss, they explode. Exactly what they're showing here. They normally are attached together, and two of them attach back to back. Normally attached together as electrons, which we would call an electron. The tiniest of the nuclear particles until you divide these, and which is also done. But two of them together make a photon, which is basically neutral. It bounces, and that gives you light. When they concuss in such a manner as we have done with the Venturi, we separated them. And that is the muon. Don't forget now, electron shower, exactly what CERN wants to see. And here's the whole story behind this. Regular pulse red laser. The particle, which is right there, which is the black particle and the white particle up and down, back to back, is an electron, back to back is a photon. And the black part is the muon, and it is dark matter and gravity. And here goes, and it's concussing, it's glowing, it's doing all the things light do, except when you put it through a Venturi, it explodes like hell. It pulls itself out of the wave just like squirting out of a hose. And when it concusses here, this whole zone becomes gigantically enraged with energy. And you need to suck it out of here for free energy. These are the Higgs fields. There's a particle there nobody knows about. We have the red, the green, the blue. We have all the same particles, the colorization, all that stuff. And then we have, this is what happens when they separate. You saw them together, they were like this. And then here, they can't get together through here. Only the white's allowed through, this Venturi. And all the Venturi is, I've shown this a zillion times. A circle here and a circle here of metal pins. Right through, and it forces the regions to collapse on their own and push the dark particles out of the way. They reattach over here, but in the middle we have raw energy. So I'd love to see this looked into a little better. Okay, it's Roger Spur, Mudfossil University. I'm sure you've seen my claims about the muon, and I have actually shown the muons, and I will again, no question whatsoever. But listen to what they have to say. This is a hell of a long video, an hour and 45 minutes. But let's just listen to a brief portion of it. Here goes.
One of our spokespersons, Chris Polly, presented the first result from our Muon G-2 experiment, and that's what I'll be talking about tonight. And hopefully some of you got to see that science seminar, so I'll give you some of the background behind this. And as Nigel said, we're just amazed by all the excitement from our little experiment. So I have to start at the beginning and tell you a little bit about what particle physics is and how it works. So the questions we're really trying to answer are, what are the building blocks of matter? What's the universe made out of at the smallest scale, and how do those building blocks interact? What are the forces that go between them? So, we start with kind of the standard picture of something like a dewdrop of water that contains water molecules. The water molecules have atoms, right? And the atoms have electrons and protons and also neutrons.
See, that's wrong. They don't have protons and neutrons, they have electrons. Then they have a mass in the center called a nucleus, which is a stable quantity of electrons. This is not correct. So they're starting off with the wrong information. I could be wrong. Maybe they're going to end up at the right place, but what he just said was wrong.
And for a long time, we thought that was the story until in the late 60s, it was discovered that protons and neutrons have internal structure, and they actually have quarks inside of them. They have 3 quarks. The proton has 2 ups and a down quark. And we kind of imagine that there's gluons, these particles that carry the strong force that bind these particles together inside the proton and also bind the protons and the neutrons into the nucleus.
All right, now, what he said, the first part, protons and neutrons, they're not just solid big chunks. And he was right. He said that's what they thought, and they found that it's not right. But they also now have decided, well, there's pieces inside these protons and neutrons, and they're calling them quarks, and they're trying to find a muon, and the closest they have gotten is an electron, and I'll show you why I can make that statement. They think they found a muon. I don't think they have.
So now sort of build up the standard model, which is sort of our periodic table of subatomic physics. And I've already told you about three particles, the up quark, the down quark, that make protons and neutrons, and the electron. And what's really amazing is that with these three particles, that pretty much describes matter in our everyday world, everything. You, me, the planet, cars, dogs, everything.
All right, if what he was referring to is these particles right here, which is the dark matter part that's attached to the electron. See, he's talking about an electron, and he's talking about an up and a down quark. Now, it's really an electron that consists of a dark particle and an explosive particle we would call the electron. This is a dipole. That's what exists. Two of them back to back make a photon. That bounces off of you. These incorporate into molecules and make things, and they burn things, electricity and lightning and all that. When these impact in such a manner as to crush their magnetic fields, these can actually separate the positive and negative charges. And I show this, and I'm showing it right now so that we don't get too confused. Okay, who is going to step up and host a forum where we can discuss this? Look what it says here. It might be that a shadowy quantum figure lurking beyond the standard model is too well hidden for current technology to detect. Well, I have already detected and showed it, and it's not hard to see at all. But if it's not, physicists will leave no stone unturned and no speck of evidence unanalyzed until they crack the case. Well, guess what? That is such nonsense. I can't believe it. It's been 10 years, and here it is, the mystery of the muon's magnetism. This is just, well, I guess it's today. People have been hitting me with this muon thing, dozens and dozens of them a day, because everybody's admitting it now. Everybody is Fermi Lab and all the big shots, because they realize they were wrong all along. And I just showed you, or I will show you, I probably already have shown you, this exact particle they're looking for. They show the particle, they show exactly what it looks like. I show you exactly what they're asking for. It emanated from light. What do they want? I want to make it perfectly clear. I've sent it to virtually everyone that's made any statements about this whatsoever. In every top university, all through everywhere. If they can't see this, or they are just unable to respond for whatever reason, I give them no credit whatsoever. Now I'm going to start going down that pathway of getting upset. I can't help myself. Why won't anybody respond to evidence? Evidence is just absolutely dismissed. It's like it just doesn't exist. Evidence has absolutely no bearing on truth anymore. None. Zero. Less than zero. If you come with it, you will be assaulted. They're not looking for truth. Somebody has to host a forum where we can present this in an open forum where people can just come on the internet and say, ooh, look at that. What does that mean? Oh, you said this. What does that mean? I say, well, here's what it means. And I can prove every single word I'm saying. I have not made one statement I cannot stand behind, with some evidence. Come to me, please. Someone host a room. We call it Rogers Rambling Research or something like that. I don't know. Okay, whatever you want to call it. But it's got to be something where everybody can come up there and learn, and not say, if you say this, then you're correct because I told you to say it. And if you say what I told you to say, then I pass you. If you don't say what I told you to say, I fail you. Then I destroy your life. So pay me so that I can tell you what you have to say to me. And if you don't say what I told you, then I keep your money and I'll destroy your life anyway. Have a wonderful day, kids. Now, I'm going to tell you something else that's kind of disturbing. They have no idea why global warming is happening. We know that these particles are particles. They're coming from the sun. We know they impact with our atmosphere. And as our globe spins through the atmosphere, that is the atmosphere of space, and it is loaded with particles that are light, absolutely no question. We are scrubbing through those, creating extreme temperatures on our very outside core. They don't even know this. In an article I just read from Astronomy Magazine, they say, oh, it gets colder and colder and colder, not like the sun. And the sun has the same issue. It's scrubbing through space as well. And out here, it's millions of degrees. The surface of the sun is only 6,000 or 7,000. Out here, it's millions. On our Earth planet, the surface is like 80 degrees, something like that, average. Out here, it's thousands. I will show you the evidence of this. That is what global warming is. It's us scrubbing through the atmosphere. It has nothing to do with a blanket of carbon dioxide. That is absolute nonsense. The reason we are scrubbing through and creating more and more heat is because we are combusting things down here, but it doesn't matter what it is. When you take it and make it from its solid form into a gaseous form, which is what we're doing by combusting things that have solidified, we're just blowing up like a balloon, scrubbing harder and harder. Because out here is the zone of scrub. It's as simple as that. The same thing with the sun. Out here is the zone of scrub. I'll show you. And then we'll go on because, these people are in charge of all this stuff. They don't even know what they're doing. I mean, literally, it's really shocking. See this? This is Astronomy Magazine. Can you imagine this? Listen to this. The sun's sizzling corona is so hot thanks to tiny nano flares. No, the corona out here is millions of degrees because the sun is scrubbing through all the particles out here, just like a tire scrubbing around on the pavement. And it's getting hotter than hell, millions and thousands on the surface. And they say this. Now listen to this. This is how unbelievably wrong these people are. They'll make up anything to support their point. Within Earth's atmosphere, temperature drops with the increase in altitude. On the sun, however, the reverse occurs. The outermost layer of the corona is nearly 500 times hotter. It's because it's scrubbing. And they don't understand that. Then it's hotter than the underlying. Well, guess what? The temperature of the atmosphere on the Earth's temperature ranges from 2,700 degrees way out in the atmosphere where it's scrubbing, in the upper atmosphere, to a global average temperature of around 59 degrees Fahrenheit. So near the surface. So it's okay. But when you get way out where our atmosphere is interacting with the atmosphere coming at us, the electrons, it's scrubbing, it's hotter than hell, 2,700 degrees. These people are just lost in this Astronomy Magazine. And I see this day after day after day. We all know this, we all know that, and they're totally wrong, absolutely wrong. All right, he's going to say he's got good news and bad news. And the bad news is things got worse. Now listen.
I have good news and bad news. Bad news first. 2 years ago, we reported on the crisis in cosmology. Since then, it's only gotten worse. And actually, the good news is also that the crisis in cosmology has actually gotten worse, which means we may be onto something.
All right, I'm going to leave it at that because they go into the same thing again.
The most exciting thing for any scientist is when something they thought they knew turns out to be wrong. So it's no wonder that many cosmologists are starting to get excited by what has become known as the Hubble tension.
Everything's wrong, let's just put it that way, because they don't understand even the basis of the particles that surround us. They think we're just floating through nothing. We're not scrubbing through anything. Of course we're scrubbing through anything. All of the particles that are hitting the Earth came from the sun or from some radiating body. There's a bazillion of them. That is push to shove scrub. That's creating the heat in our outer atmosphere and it's creating the heat on the sun. We need to start right from scratch again. And I have scratched the scratch of the scratch, right down to the base core of everything, which is electron flood theory. It's got to start over again. Time to get out of the crisis, because they will never, ever, ever be able to understand anything until they understand the basis of the particle nature of the electron and dark matter and the muon. I've shown it. They've seen it. They know it's there. They just won't admit to what it is. They won't talk. Not a single question, not a single response, and I've sent it to almost everybody that I can find that has any way of me trying to contact them. And I don't know if they got it or not because I never got any response back. So they're walking around in circles, and they do this forever. It just seems to be the way. It's happened the same thing in geology. I have evidence that just absolutely destroys them. And Yale refuses to look at it. Harvard refuses to look at it. Nobody will even give me 1 minute of their time. And that is the problem that we face today, is a system of denial. Unless you pay them in an extortion manner, and then once you get there, if you try to fight them, they will crush you anyway. So you have to work from the outside, which I am, and I'm looking for people to help me, and it's time to stand up and help. I'm never getting to get anywhere. I can't get anybody to listen to me. I have a ton of people subscribing, but they just, oh yeah, this is nice. Have a nice day. Have a good time. I love that. Thank you. But why can't anybody get me to where I can be seen by a broad, audience? Without that, it's just I'm walking around in circles. I feel like just closing everything up some days. I really do. I feel like it's just an absolute waste of 10 years of my time. Because, it's going to have to somehow get somewhere. And they're turning around. I guess things don't turn around in a day. But, well, I'll tell you, it's a wall that I just cannot push down. And somebody's going to have to help. I need some people to help. And we need a global online chat, an open forum to discuss these things amongst the people that have the abilities to understand these things. I don't want to have just absolute nonsense fiasco. And no crazy conspiracy theory, this and that, just trying to find a place to jump on to excite people. I want to look at evidence of what our true history is, what's in space, what our geology is, what our energy is, what light is, what these muons are, and what our ancient past is. And the ancient texts are completely valid and I would say to start with Ovid Metamorphosis. Start right there. That's the one you want to read. And the first couple of lines will knock the socks right off of your feet. And the next one you want to read is Hesiod, the Theology, and Herodotus. He's got a lot of good stuff. And anyway, the earliest ones, they were writing about things that were well known in the ancient past, and we think are just crazy. Let me show you something, and then I'm going to stop at this for today, because I roll on and I'm just going to ramble and ramble and ramble. These guys are just all wrong. They're 100% wrong. And until they will confront me and let me present my evidence, and then they can break it down and beat me up, I'd love that. Throw me your best shot. All right, let somebody explain these things to me. Fuerte de Sempiata, Bolivia. This happened thousands of years ago. Who did that? Who did that? That didn't happen just last week. And watch this. Same thing here. That's a four-wheel drive tire that happened thousands of years ago. Here's another one. Who did that? They cut these slabs and made the walls in Peru. Who did that? Here's another one. I think this is in Bulgaria. Same machines. Who had these machines here? They cut all these slabs out of those things, right? And then they brought them down here and made them here. And there's so much for us to discuss. The only way for us to discuss this is on an open forum platform where I can present my evidence, which I have done for 10 years. I have so much evidence coming on my ears. And then I can show why I make these statements, and then I will address anybody in the entire world, experts of any place, any university, NASA, any of them. And then we will discuss it, and let's make our points. They can make their points, I'll make my points. And I guarantee you my points are going to be sharper than their points.